right, teachers. Got a request here to look into Eduphoria, making an assessment of how do we make all these new item types for these STAR 2.0 interactive questions. So let's jump in here and check this out. We're going to start in our class link and we're going to go to Eduphoria and Aware. I'm looking for the assessments portion there and I'm going to select author. Also right over here is assessments in the center. On the next screen, it's going to push me. If I click author, it's going to have me pick new assessment. So we can go ahead and do that here. And we are going to create a new standard assessment. All right, we need to give our assessment a title. We can just make a little quiz. Like we're going to make a little 10-question quiz right here with each of these new item types. And it can be something that we're just going to assign to our students just as a little formal assessment, but not an entire 9 weeks grade or anything like that. Let's go with 4th grade, and we are working on a math test. This is for some math teachers at Lacey. So we're going to do our math extravaganza quiz. And those things are automatically populated on there for me. I need to associate a campus and a course. Generate my test. And when I say generate test, all it's doing is just generating the framework here for us to actually go in and create the test. It didn't generate anything, so don't let that panic you. I remember the first time I made something in Eduphoria, I was like, I'm not ready to generate the test. I haven't added any of the items yet. Dropped us off here, of course, on the questions tab, but we can go back to the general tab if we've made some kind of mistake and we need to change any of these things that we already set. But the questions tab is what we're going to look at today because we're going to look at these interactive item types. Let's go ahead and make one of each of these, and we're going to click into here, and we're going to go ahead and start with hot text. We need to put some text on there to make it hot. Now, the very first time that I got in here and made these item types, I will tell you that what I needed to put here for the question, it was a mystery until I hit continue to get to the next screen and to find out what I was actually going to be able to do with the text. So what I figured out was that I've got my little math sentence here that Marco has 17 Stanley tumblers. He sells 10 Stanley tumblers and has 7 left. I realized that I also needed to add some directions on the next screen to indicate what they were going to be clicking on for the hot text. So I added some directions here. Which word or words in the sentence above indicate that we are working with a subtraction problem. And let's see here. There we go. So I double clicked that word, it selected it, and I want that to be a hot text area. I want that one to be my correct answer, but I do need to have a few other words selected as distractors. So we'll put has, and let's go ahead and put Stanley. So we've got 3 answer choices here, and cells is the correct one I'm looking for. So I'm going to hit create, and that has created this. So let's go ahead and click the little preview button and see what this looks like. From the student perspective, Marco has 17 tumblers. He sells 10 Stanley tumblers and has 7 left. Which word or words in the sentence above indicate that we are working with a subtraction problem? So I want them to pick cells, and they would then move on to the next question here. Question number 2 of our interactive item types, we're going to do text entry. And what text entry is going to do is we are going to have a blank in the sentence for them to type an answer. So I'm going to put my question on here again. What I want them to do is to give me the correct answer here. So I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to click this add a placeholder. And what that has done is it has changed that over to a blank where the student can type the answer. And since I already had the answer there, when I hit continue, it is going to know that that is the correct answer as well. There we go. So we have done that, and we can go in here and preview that. Marco has 17 tumblers. He sells 10 and has 7 left. All right, and then I can move on to my next question. Question type number 3 here, interactive item types, we're going to do inline choice. So very similar to the one that we just did where we were picking a word or typing a word. We're now going to have a drop down where we're going to select the correct word. Let's go ahead and put our sentence on here again. I want them to figure out the 10. If we're going to go from 17 down to 7, we want to understand what happened. So I'm going to put my blank there. My correct answer, I know I want to be 10. I'm going to add a couple of other answer choices here as well. I'm going to hit create, and that has created that question. Let's go ahead and preview it. Marco has 17 Stanley tumblers. He sells 10 Stanley tumblers and has 7 left. All right, we're moving. We're cooking with gas here. Moving on to number 4 for drag and drop. So interactive item types, drag and drop. Let's see here. Add directions for the question here. Start your interactive drag and drop question. All right, so I'm going to paste my math sentence on here. So we are going to remove some things from our sentence which are going to be dragged and dropped back in the correct place, So I'm going to leave the 10 there, but I'm going to remove the 17 and the 7. Going to add some directions here. Drag the numbers to the correct place in the sentence. Hit and continue. Shuffle my answer choices, of course, and hit create. And that has created that question type. So let's go preview that. We would just drag and drop our answers onto here. And then next, moving on to the next question. Question number 5 on our little quiz is going to be hotspot image. All right, so we need to choose an image here, and I've made us a little advertisement from Marco in his grand opening of his Tumbler shop, his Stanley Tumbler shop. What we're going to do is we're going to ask students to click on something in the picture, so we need our question to reflect that this time. What my question is going to be, I'm going to ask them, I want them to find the time on that advertisement. So we're going to click the portion of the advertisement that displays the time that Marco's Tumblers will have its grand opening. We're going to go ahead and click create here. Confirmation. Nope, keep editing. You know what we're missing? The continue button is down here. Okay, if I would pause and read the directions, it tells me to click continue to add the interactive answer choices. But I couldn't see it because it was down here. Thanks, Eduphoria, for making this so user-friendly. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some little squares on here to indicate places that they could select. This hotspot is a correct answer choice. Yes, it is. We want the time one right there to be a correct answer choice. There it goes. So we got the date. Let's go ahead and put a square around grand opening. And we will put a square around any city. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 possible places for them to click on our image as a hotspot, but only one we have selected as the correct answer. So let's go ahead and click create, and let's go in here and preview this. All right, there's our directions. Click the portion of the advertisement that displays the time that Marco's Tumblers will have its grand opening. And we've got the date, we've got the time, the city, and the word grand opening. So we will select the time there. And then next, we're moving on to our next question. Notice that it gets a little tight around there. So perhaps if I did this in the future, I would leave a little bit more space around my text there to make it a little more user-friendly on the student when they're looking at it. Number 6 is going to be match table grid. Man, I'm a social studies teacher and not a math teacher, and I don't know a whole lot about what match table grid is all about, but it did come up with a question in a way that we can do this. I think my question is, what section of this chart would you check to find out how many of Tumbler Style 2 mugs Marco sold on day 3? And I am going to have Style 1 mug, Style 2 mug, and just to make it a little more exciting, we're going to add Style 3 mug in the next column. And let's say we're looking for day 3, so day 1, day 2, and day 3. Click continue to make the correct answer. All right, so Style 2, day 3, that's going to make this the correct answer. Create my question. Click create, go down here and preview this. None of the boxes are checked, but I know that one is my correct answer. Boom, moving on. And question type number 7 is going to be the number line. We're just going to keep this really simple here, and I know it's just going to say mark the number 12 on the number line. Continue. I need this to get a little bit bigger here. I want it to start with -12. There we go. So I've got -12 to +12. Let's add just a point on there as our point. So I'm going to select the point down here on the 12 because that's my correct answer. And I'm going to hit create. Okay, let's go to our number line question and preview that. Mark the number 12 on the number line. I'm going to take my dot and I'm going to move it to the 12. And then I'm moving on to the next question. Number 8 is the fraction model. All right, so interactive item types in the fraction model. I'm going to ask my students to represent the fraction of 3/5 on the circle by shading 3/5 of the circle. So I'm going to paste my question or type my question here, hit continue, and I want them to, looks like I need to put the correct answer here, so I want 5 sections, and I want 3 of them shaded. Yep, that was it. Hit and create there. So let's go preview that. And as the student, I got my directions here that say I want to make a 3/5. So I have all the choices here. I can put the circle to have up to 12 sections if I'm not paying attention. Ooh, what if I did that? What if I did this? Is this going to work also? That's why it said equivalent fractions. Okay, so let's go back and check that. I'm going to turn that on. Equivalent answers are also correct. All right, question number 9 on our interactive item types is charting. Charting, okay. So again, this here I wasn't real sure what I had to do, so I click continue to come through here, and I can see that I've got a chart title. I can label my X and my Y axes. X-axis I can give some names. Y right now it looks like it's numbers. I think I want my question to say, I'm going to track some Tumblr sales here. So I'm going to go back to constructing my question, and I'm going to type my question here. I'm going to mark the chart to indicate that Marco sold 2 of Tumblr Style 1, 6 of Tumblr Style 2, and 4 of Tumblr Style 3. So I got to label all this chart stuff here. So I want this chart to be called Tumblr's Sold. I want my x-axis to be Tumblr styles, and I want style 1, style 2, and style 3 on my x-axis. My y I'm going to leave as it is there. I don't want to change those numbers. Now, let's see here. I guess I'm going to click my correct answers here. So style 3, I want it to be at 4 tumblers. Style 2, I want it to be at 6 tumblers. And style 1, I wanted it to be at 2 tumblers. So let's go ahead and click create. Got our chart question here. So we're going to go ahead and preview that. And all right, mark the chart to indicate that Marco sold 2 of Tumblr Style 1, 6 of Tumblr Style 2, and 4 of Tumblr Style 3. And my chart is blank so that I, as the student, can come in here and can mark these things on the chart myself. Next to move on. All right, last one is basic graphing. Basic graphing, so interactive item types, basic graphing. What I'm going to ask my students to do is to graph the point 2, 2 on their graph, and then I want them to rise to and run to from the first point and graph a second point. Go to 2's already on there, and then I want them to put a point there as well. That will be up to and over 2. Looks like I've got everything I want on there. And let's go preview this, and we should have a blank graph, hopefully. Yes. All right, so graph the point 2, 2. Then graph a second point that has a rise of 2 and a run of 2 from there. Boom. And next, I'm moving on to my next question. All right, ladies and gents, that is interactive item types here with Eduphoria and Aware.